Did you start?
Oh yeah, we've been live for like 3 minutes.
Oh, yikes. All right. So, how are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
I'm having ice cream. It's toasty.
Classic Ian ice cream. What, do you eat it like every day still? Did
Usually.
you eat it every day?
You eat ice cream every day in freshman year?
Mm-mm.
Pretty, I feel like it's at least weekly. I feel like it's more than
You
weekly.
think
So
I
it's
ate it?
like,
I don't think I ate it as much in freshman year. Where would I have kept the ice cream?
Oh, because you guys wouldn't have had a
We
fridge
had a mini fridge, but I
and
don't
a
remember
freezer.
having an ice cream scooper.
Maybe you just used a spoon,
I don't remember having a
like a
spoon.
savage. How else would you have eaten all the rest of your food?
I had chopsticks for rice,
You can eat ice cream with chopsticks.
and I only ate rice because we didn't have a kitchen in freshman year. That rice cooker was great though.
Yeah, it was mechanical. Good times. I haven't had dinner.
Wow, it's
No.
terrible.
I was trying to consult with my roommate about how to acquire dinner, but I think that acquiring dinner is out.
That's sad.
Yeah, indeed. So, how was your illness?
um, it was humbling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In what way?
I was just like laying in bed, like my body was aching, you know. It just made me think about, wow, humans are just such weak creatures. So, yeah.
That is true.
And I slept a lot.
Sleeping is good.
Right now I'm like a lot better, although
Mm-hmm.
my throat is still kind of like
Quirky.
has a lot of mucus and stuff. So
Mm.
yeah.
Well, it must be nice to live in a house where you can wear a t-shirt.
You can't wear a t-shirt?
No,
Is there
my house
something
is
wrong with your
frigid.
AC?
It's
Okay.
because our ground floor is really like vaulted, so all the heat escapes to the first floor. Having to do floor conversions into American. Um, wait, second floor. Second floor. Okay. All the heat escapes into the second floor. And also the insulation of our front and back doors is really bad. So it's just a wind tunnel through the living room past where my bedroom is.
Sounds like you need a space heater.
Yeah. But I mean, it's only really going to be another month of cold and then it'll be fine. So in the grand scheme of things, it'll be okay.
All right. So what should we talk about today on our another episode of Dubious Intellectual Yabbering?
Um, I want to know why you like the things you do.
You may
Why
also like.
we like the things we do?
All right,
All
back
right,
to my
so
question.
Yeah, so
why,
Ian, why do you like the things that you like?
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I asked it first, so that we established this last episode. I don't have to answer.
Yeah, so Danny, why do you like the things that you like?
Okay, what kind of things do I like? Um, well, there are some things that are just like biological things, like good food, you know.
Mm.
So those are just things you're born with. Those are just biases you're born with. And then there are things that I guess you're just like, I feel like most of it is just like based on like past experiences. If you like something before, there's a good chance you'll like it again. So like anime and stuff, you know, if you watch that before, you're like, oh, that's very cool.
So you
And then
think
you just,
that preference can be broken down to biological factors and exposure? That's it.
yeah, well, technically, I feel everything can be broken down that way. it's like if you cover environment and like nature and nurture, then there's like nothing else you can really from. But those are just like such big categories, anyways. So
What about people that like new things?
what about them?
So, isn't that directly contrary to the exposure theory?
No, well, the tendency to like new things could still be a biological factor, or
Or they could have been exposed to many new things and they realize that when they're exposed to new things, they tend to enjoy it. So they wish to be
yeah,
exposed to more new things.
Interesting.
yeah.
All right, Iwe, what's your answer?
I mostly agree with Danny's answer, but I also think that there are things that I like because I want to be the kind of person who likes those things.
Like books and stuff. Oh,
Like certain kinds of books, yeah.
certain kinds of books. Huh? What kind of books?
It's like when you watch a serious movie, and when you watch it, you experience a feeling of catharsis as you watch it and as you finish the movie. But it may take you a long time to work up to watching the movie because the journey of experiencing catharsis is not always a pleasant one. So you do enjoy it, but at the same time, you also kind of don't enjoy it.
Okay, yeah, I kind of get it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Ian. So why do you like the things you like?
Um, I don't know. That's why I was asking.
Okay, fair point. Um,
Do you think that of the things you like, most of them tend to be because of exposure, because of something innate within you, or because you feel like you should like them, so you like them?
I I probably frame what you say you feel like you should like them a little differently. I think that
Mm-hmm.
people can make conscious choices to like things. So, you can believe yourself to be a certain way and to like certain things, and then it is true, right? So I think that that's also a factor, which is different than exposure.
so you think we can like sort of control what kind of things we like?
Yeah, sure. Sometimes. Actually,
Um,
yeah, almost entirely.
almost entirely.
Most things. Yep. The question of whether you'd want to, I feel like it's just too much effort to control your preferences to that degree. But I do believe it's possible. You probably have to spend a lot of your time doing that, though.
I feel like as you just like purely by exposing like forcing yourself to like to be exposed to something, maybe you'll like get more used to it. But I don't know if like I feel like it wouldn't always like lead to the same level of like excitement about something as just like something you naturally like.
I
I feel
think
like.
I think something you naturally like doesn't exist. I think that um, things that you naturally like, you've just told yourself that you can naturally like them. So I think anyone with a high capacity for self deception um, can essentially choose whatever they want to like.
So you chose to like video games and board games.
I don't think I have that high of a capacity of self deception, but then again, if I did, maybe I would deceive myself with that. Like I don't know.
Danny, I'm interested in what you said previously about naturally liking good food. Would you like to unpack that for us?
But it's not that deep. It's like, you know, sometimes good food is just like universally good, like the way it's prepared and stuff. I
So what
feel
is good
like,
food?
I don't believe that.
huh?
I don't believe that. I don't believe there is food that is universally good.
Fresh food is universally better than rotten food. Probably.
Okay, I
But what
agree with
about
that.
something like kimchi, which is
Yeah.
technically rotten?
Oh.
Yeah. I agree that like fresher food is generally better, but I think there is no such thing as an objectively universally good food. I think that someone out there is always going to be like, "Yeah, I don't like that."
um,
The universal is the part I object to.
okay, I guess so. But I feel like a lot of things there's like are like that way. It's like anything that's like has a subjective nature of like having like people's preferences are never gonna have like universal things where like I feel like food is like both an art and a science because like I don't know, like I feel like a lot of dishes out there are just like already been perfected. Like they're like, oh, you cook it this way to like emulsify the ratio between fat and protein and gives it a certain kind of texture. And it's like certain group like that applies to a lot of people. It's like everyone knows that like, oh, a steak should be like either medium or medium rare. And like that works for like most people. But then there's some people who are like, I want it well done. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like so yeah, my big point is basically that a lot of foods, there's like a certain range where most people appreciate it more. I feel like
Maybe.
it's not like completely random, right? Because like you don't have a chef that's just like yeah. So like one person could like this and one other person could like that. We're just not gonna have a menu. Everyone just decides on their own. Like usually they make the choices for you, and they're supposed to like have a bunch of experience that helps them make those decisions, right? And then you just walk in and get whatever they decided is worth trying.
I think this brings me to another question.
Okay.
Um, how do you guys feel about making your own choices? Do you think it's better to make your own choices, or are you afraid of choice paralysis and would rather live in a world where your choices are made for you? Like, for instance, the choice of a career.
I think I experience choice paralysis, but I would always prefer to make my own choices, even if I am only delusionally making my own choices.
I like the option of making choices. I feel like it's nice to just have a default choice. And then but you also have the choice to make other choices if you choose to do so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on choice making?
Um, I don't know. That's why I asked. I probably agree with you guys, but I think it's an interesting question nonetheless.
Mm. In what situations would you prefer to be the one making the choice? Because I feel like there are certain social customs in which particular groups are expected to make the choice and particular groups are expected to not make the choice.
Are you referring to something specific or
Um, I'm trying to think of a good example.
I think I would usually like to make the choice on something major and not really care on something minor. Boom.
How major is major and how minor is too minor?
Depends on the example.
What about like what kind of food you eat every day?
Um, I would like to make that choice because every day is a lot. That's like my whole life right there.
It's a lot of choices. What about like what kind of outfit to wear when you wake up?
Don't care about that one.
Okay.
Although I could see that being something, I could see that being a larger choice for other people. Like, I wouldn't even care about the outfit for the rest of my life, right? But I feel like that's an abnormal thing. And that's up to a certain point. There are certain things that if I were dressed in, I would be like, no.
Why do you think you wouldn't care about what outfit you would wear for the rest of your life?
Um, I don't really have a very trying to fix my camera so that you can see my face. There we go. I guess I don't put much stock into presenting myself physically in the most positive of light.
And why do you think that is?
I mean, I don't really care that much what other people think of me, and also I think that if I'm going to be judged seriously based on that, I think that that reflects more on the person judging than on me. And the third and probably most important reason is that I enjoy I'm okay with being underestimated, you know? Like, that's totally fine. If I'm slovenly, that's okay. It's good. It's always good to be underestimated rather than overestimated, I think.
That's true. I feel like
Actually,
yeah, I
no,
agree
I,
with that.
I disagree with that. I changed my mind. I think sometimes it's good to be overestimated.
Yeah.
Most of the time, though, I'd rather be underestimated.
I think in certain contexts, being underestimated is more of a hindrance.
Well,
For
like if you're
example, professionally.
yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I just like to believe in the like, that whole ethos, I guess, of walking quietly. You don't need to be very loud. Even though I probably live my life completely the opposite of that, I still like to believe in it.
What are your thoughts about appearance, Danny?
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't meet many people on most days, so I generally don't really care about what I wear. That's how I feel about it. I feel like you would probably care more about what you wear every day, I think,
I
right?
mean,
Yeah, I think so. I also think that socially it might be a little different for me because there's an expectation attached to women's appearances and what people think of their characters. Which I think like the same thing does go for men, but the association isn't as strong.
yeah, you might be right.
So it must be nice to get away with being slovenly.
I look pretty good when I'm slovenly, so I think I can get away with it pretty well.
Sure.
Okay, I have a question I've been wondering. So hypothetically, obviously a human life is priceless to some people, but how much is a human life worth if you had to put like a dollar amount on it?
Um, oh, if I had my phone, I'd know the answer to this. I believe it's like $11 million.
$11 million?
Yeah, I think it might be
I feel
10 or
like
$11 million.
a person doesn't even make a million. How many million? You said 11 million, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I feel like a person doesn't even make $11 million
I think it might be ten
in their
point six
lifetime.
million dollars.
How do they base off the calculation for that?
So that I believe is from that number is from the value of human life based like the legal value of human life in like uh civil lawsuits.
The legal value.
Yeah, in which where like someone dies and you're suing for negligence or some type of cause of that. I believe the value is like $10.6 million or something like that.
Oh,
I could be wrong
interesting.
about the number. I probably am. Someone in the chat is probably being like, "Ian, you're wrong about the number." But there's a number for it, and that's the number I'll go with.
Okay. Yeah. I wonder how they choose the legal value though. Is it based off like how much your organs are worth or whatever?
No, no. I'm sure. I mean, this is a U.S. thing, so I'm sure in other countries people are worth less. Like probably in Australia, the amount would be a lot less.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think, Eli?
Um, yeah, I don't really have anything good to say in response to that.
Uh,
I really do wish I had something wittier to say, but I got nothing. I got
um,
nothing.
what do you think, Danny? Do you have a number?
Um, yeah, I feel like it would be less than 11 million. I feel like it'd be closer to like maybe like 1 million or a few million. Because I feel like most people would probably only make like a few million in their lifetime in their like
Well,
working
I
careers
think it is interesting to think about
economically.
the value not in terms of how much a person earns, but how much value they create through their work. Because
They
I feel
create.
like
Mhm.
wages for work and value produced by work are not always the same thing.
Mhm.
I think you make
Kind
more
of.
than 1 million, by the way, Danny.
Yeah, I mean like, but not much more. I, I think like a normal person isn't. It'll be kind of hard to make 11 million. I feel
Yeah, it would be tough.
like that's another order of magnitude.
That's true.
Um, yeah, and it'll also depend on like how fulfilling your life is. Like, if your life is always just like not very happy, no fulfilling relationships, your life's probably worth a little bit less.
I don't know about that.
It's
It's a
like
slippery slope to start weighing people's lives differently.
okay, let's like I think if there's like a free market, there's like these entities who just have money, but like they don't really have like maybe like a physical body or like a lifestyle, whatever, to like experience life from. And they're like, I want to buy some life from these people. And they're going to shop around. And if they like foresee your future, then you're like, you know what? Ian's
All
life is
right.
not all that. I
I
don't
see
want
what
to live
you're
his life.
saying. I see what you're saying. Hmm.
Yeah. So how much would you guys, or would you guys ever be willing to sell your lifespan, hypothetically? And how much would you sell it for?
What's my per year value of lifespan?
Yeah. That's what you have to figure out.
Oh, I
Yeah.
would
Do
I
you
would
think?
sell a couple of years if I'm gonna get like a few million for a couple of years.
I don't think you get a few million for a couple of years.
I'm pretty sure people would pay a few million for a couple of years. Pretty sure I
Mm,
could sell
A
that.
million a year.
This is like a supply
okay.
and demand type thing.
Yeah, but
Even
what if there's a lot of people who
even
would
if my
sell?
life sucks, like
Uh-huh.
people are gonna want it. There's a lot of rich people out there. I'm sure I could shop it for a couple million. I would sell it for 1 million a year for sure. I'd probably sell it for 500. Is it non-taxable income? No,
Sure.
this is important. Okay, I would probably sell it for $500,000 a year. Do I have to sell it all at once, or can I sell a year and then come back and sell a year again later?
You're allowed to sell.
And do I have to sell it in
You're,
denominations of a year, or can I sell it in smaller denominations?
you're allowed to make 3 transactions total
Over the course of
over.
your life.
And
Yeah.
how small of the denominations? Can they be whatever I
Uh,
want?
Yeah, whatever you want.
So I can sell a day if I want.
Yeah.
I'd probably sell a year, between 6 months to a year, um, for, minimum 500K. Uh,
Minimum? Oh.
yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, I mean, actually, right now, I could probably sell it for less than that. We'll see. We'll see what the offer would be.
Yeah, I feel like money is worth different amounts to you based on like
What time
where you're
of your
at.
life you're in?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And just on like how much money you have.
that's true.
Like,
So, yeah, I would definitely sell probably 6 months to a year of my life now, and then I would probably plan on not selling any more of it. But should it happen, probably I would probably max sell 2 years of my life, um, over the course of all three transactions. But the other transactions would be a bit later. But I would probably only be selling my life in my 20s and my 30s. So I think once I hit 40, it'd be a hard cap. No more selling my life. Because at that point, the money is worth a lot less. What do you think, yogurt?
Um, when doing the life selling, do people know how long they're going to live?
That's a good
um,
question.
yeah, I think so. Yeah. They'll give you like an estimate.
Well, I don't want
So
to know how
it's
long I'm going to live.
unless there's like an accident, they'll tell you your exact lifespan.
Mm,
Oh, okay.
that's pretty interesting. Um, it really depends on whether or not I would be able to get money by other means and what I would need the money for. I think I'm not super inclined to sell my life just because I think that given the limited amount of time I actually have, there are way too many things that I want to do. So I probably wouldn't unless I really needed the money.
Um, what about you, Danny?
Um, I feel like I might for like even less than 500K. Especially if like I was really depressed, I'd be like, why not, you know? Better to live a short, happier life drowning in money than a long life.
I mean, I was also thinking about it.
Huh.
To your point, yogurt, I agree with Danny here because if you spend lifespan to get money, you're essentially buying lifespan also because then you don't have to use the time in your life for things that you don't care about.
But what if it's fulfilling work that you enjoy?
Yeah, that could be.
Work is never fulfilling, guys. That's a lie. Society tries to tell us the sheep.
So on that note, what is our exoplanet of the week?
Mhm.
Boy, am I glad you asked. I actually forgot that I had to do that until 5 minutes into the podcast. So the exoplanet of the week is Proxima Centauri b. It is
We didn't talk about
the
Proxima Centauri B.
no, we talked about Pegasi 51b.
Okay.
Yeah, Proxima Centauri b, along with Proxima Centauri c, is the closest known exoplanet to the solar system, and it orbits in the habitable zone of the red dwarf star Proxima Centauri in the Alpha Centauri system, and was discovered by radial velocity detection
You know you're
in
not allowed to look things
2016.
up in the show.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
What are the other
Um,
stars in the Alpha Centauri system?
Alpha Centauri and Proxima Centauri.
I don't know. I'm just curious. I know. I think it might be a three star
Yeah,
system. Yeah.
yeah. It's
I don't know what the
It's a three-star system. I think there's a main binary,
yeah.
and then there's like a third, much smaller white dwarf. Although I'm not super sure what the third star
You
is.
know what they say, the three body problem.
Yep. But yeah, they suspect that even though Alpha Centauri B is in the habitable zone of Proxima Centauri, sorry, Proxima Centauri B is in the habitable zone of Proxima Centauri, it's not actually friendly to life because it's tidally locked. So it's like the moon in that it only shows the same face to the star at all times. Which means the star facing side of the planet is very hot and the opposite side of the planet is very cold. And there's like a twilight zone at the very center of the two sides that may allow life to exist, but it's a big maybe.
We should play Exoworld Survival sometime. There's a lot of tidally locked planets in that.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Should we do a history as well or no?
What do you want to do, Danny?
Let's do it at the end.
Okay.
Okay, I have a follow-up question since we're on the topic of human life.
Mm-hmm.
So hypothetically, if you did have, let's say, a very short time, like 1 year or 3 months, to spend the rest of your life, how would you spend it?
Um,
The first thing I would do is work on extending that time.
In vain, right?
What?
What if it's maybe it's not possible to
So is
extend that
this
time?
this is like a hard limit, 100%. I'm gonna die in a year.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. Yogurt, do you want to go first?
um,
I feel I've asked you this before, Ian. I don't know.
Do you remember my
Something.
answer? I don't remember my answer.
Um, yeah, I don't remember either.
I think if I only had a year left to live, I would like to do some combination of traveling, writing, and spending time with the people that I care about.
I'd probably quit my job. I would not want to move back home. That would be miserable. Does everyone else know that I have a year left to live?
I think you can choose to tell them. Would you tell them?
But how would they believe me? I feel like if I said that to someone, they'd be like, "You're crazy."
No, I don't. Like,
Do they automatically believe me? Do they like? Do I have like incontrovertible proof? It's important that we get the details correct in our hypotheticals.
well, I guess that you don't have controversial proof.
Oh, well then I can't tell them. Oh, that makes my life so much more difficult. Um,
Why does it matter if like people? I feel like,
because if I want to spend a lot of time with the people that I care about, and
mhm.
I like also don't want to spend like and I also want to like stop working and do all that, all the people that I care about are going to be like, "Why are you not preparing for the rest of your life?" Right? That's what they're going to be saying. So it makes a big difference.
I would believe you if you told me you had 1 year to live. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not everyone. I can tell you right now there's a lot of people who would not believe me. Ugh.
You could make up something like a terminal cancer prognosis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to spend the last year of my life falsifying a terminal cancer prognosis. Like, no, that isn't what I want to do. It's such a waste of time. Um, Yeah, I'd probably do a bit of writing. I'd probably finish my novel, and besides that, I would just try to spend as much time as I can with the people that I enjoy spending time with.
Oh, who's that?
Um, you see, there's kind of like a catch 22 here because I feel like
Hmm.
with my actual family, they're in pretty deep, right? Like I can just spend time with them and then they'll be sad after I die. But I feel like with all of my friends, I don't know if I feel like there's kind of a conundrum where it's like I could spend time with them, but for instance, in my relationships, if the more time I spend with my relationship partner, the like worse it'll be for them when I inevitably die, right? So in that sense, it's probably better if I just stop spending time with them, just to prepare them for the end.
So you would end the relationship
Yeah,
if you.
probably I would.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay, what
and
if? Yeah, what if they were the one who had the 1 year to live? Would you leave?
no, no, I would not. Absolutely not.
So
Would you
you
prefer that they end the relationship?
No, 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 I would not.
so why are you treating other people differently from like how you would want to be treated?
Hey, I'm gonna make my decisions for other people. If I'm the one with the year to live, I get to decide.
The Danny thinking face emoji.
Sus.
um, yeah, but otherwise, I'd probably just I'd finish playing Legend of Zelda. Um, Probably continue to read books. Maybe play a little bit of board games. I'd go to Gen Con. I kind of wanted to go to Gen Con. Probably travel to St. Petersburg. I think I'd do that at the end. I think I'll die in St. Petersburg. So,
Yeah, you can make like your own grave.
no,
Embracing
You know?
I wouldn't do
the
that.
the
Yeah. I'd probably go to Japan also.
Mm.
So,
what about you, Danny?
I would also go to Japan, I think. Yeah. Um, and then aside from that, I guess I would like go back and talk to some friends and spend time with them. Um, I would probably also read books, but I don't know. An interesting question would be like, what kind of books are useful to read when you're about to die?
I think fiction books are useful so that you can forget about the fact that you're about to die.
Yeah. And then other than that, um, I don't know. I feel like I would have a pretty happy year. Just like, I feel like I would treasure life more if I knew it was ending soon.
That
Um,
maybe.
yeah. I'll probably just draw and stuff.
You already answered, right? UA? Yeah.
I don't think Iway answered.
I think she said she wanted to travel.
That's what I said.
She
I don't
said a
think I
very
answered in a
generic
lot of
answer, yeah.
detail. Um, I think once
How
I
would you deal with
learn,
your relationships and stuff?
um, I think I probably wouldn't tell the people that I was close to that I was going to die. I'd probably write them like a very long letter and leave it for them afterwards.
Oh,
Um, I think I would plan to get my affairs in order and just organize all of my stuff and kind of get rid of it so that after I die, people don't have to deal with all of the possessions I've accumulated.
mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know that there are. I guess it really depends on my physical condition. Is it like I know that I'm going to die in a year's time from some, accident, or I am slowly wasting away from a disease that will get me
Uh,
at the end of a year?
yeah, you can function normally, so you're not
Okay.
wasting away in bed.
Okay. Yeah. Then I think in terms of traveling, if I'm able to go with people that I'm close to, then I would want to show them places that I've been and then go to new places. But if I'm just going by myself, then I would want to go to new places.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay.
Interesting. What an
And I
So what
would
kind
write a
interesting
of
lot.
question. Yeah.
books would you guys read? Like, would it
Fiction.
change
Uh,
at all? Yeah, I feel like fiction's good.
I feel like I'd read fiction and maybe more Buddhism stuff.
Buddhism? Oh, like to prepare for the afterlife.
Divorce yourself from opinions about this cycle of your existence. Be neutral towards everything.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would also like to study Buddhism at some point. I think it's kind of interesting.
Mm,
There's no time like the present.
it's true. So then, do you have a bucket list of things that you want to do?
I don't. Maybe I should make one.
It's always good to have.
I once had a bucket list of 10 things I wanted to do before I turned 18, and I think I achieved none of them. I made the list when I was 10, I think.
What were they?
I wanted to walk the Great Wall of China, publish a book, get an A plus on my grade 8 piano exam, which I never took, eat a toffee apple.
You didn't achieve that one?
They don't have toffee apples in Australia. Or maybe that was the only one I achieved. I'm not really sure. I wanted to visit my grandfather's grave, which I did when I was 19. And there were some other ones. I think I wanted to read like 100 books in a year.
That's easy.
Yeah, I forget the rest.
Ah, jeez. It's rough. You had big dreams when you were 10.
Yeah. Oh, and I also wanted to ride a horse. Yeah, that never happened.
Mm,
All right. Should we do the history lesson?
yeah, let's do it. So what history are we going to do today? You can pick.
I want the history of Australia.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
How much time do I have?
Why don't we give you 5 minutes and 4 seconds?
All right. You got the timer ready?
I'm about to. I'll start when you start speaking.
All right. So, there once was a giant island in the middle of the sea. It was very big, very barren, very desolate, and full of desert. The greatest country in the world, Great Britain, decided that it was a great place for a prison. So they sent all the people they didn't want in their country, who previously had been executed, to Australia. And it's so far away that it was basically like being executed. And that is how Australia began. Now you fast forward maybe 100 years, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, something about that. Um, and now all the prisoners are people again, and um, they have their own government, sort of, that is ruled by Britain. They have their own elected officials, kind of. They're still kind of ruled by Britain, and they essentially do whatever Britain tells them to, but they pretend that they're on their own. This group of people were, just did whatever Britain wanted them to do. So World War One, support Britain. World War Two, support Britain. Right now, diplomatically boycotting the Olympic Games, just like Britain. There we go. That's Australia for you. Probably one of the most interesting things in Australian history, and there's a few other really funny, interesting things, but this is a serious, interesting thing. Is the Gallipoli campaign. Now, this figures Australia and Australian soldiers, but is largely a British campaign. Essentially, the British got it in their heads that they were the greatest military force ever to be assembled and could do anything on the water and probably would do okay on land as well. So while World War One was raging, they decided, we're going to land an entire army in Turkey, in the Ottoman Empire, and then conquer their capital just like that. So they tried to do that, and it utterly failed. It was a complete mess, very poorly run, completely destroyed, and that was Gallipoli, and that was Australia's biggest war contribution thus far. Actually, I wouldn't even say war contribution. I would say diplomatic foreign affairs contribution. Aside from that, they live on an island. It's pretty good. All right, how much time do I have left? Am I done?
You still have 2 minutes and 13 seconds.
I could talk more about Australia. Do you want me to? I mean, that was
Yeah.
what I was going.
I don't want to hear it.
So there was another war that they were a part of, and this was a war against emus. So emus are giant flightless birds, and there were too many of them. So the Australian government were like, we're going to send our military on them. And the military lost. The emus won. It was a very costly war. There were some casualties on both sides, but the emus were very hard to kill. So Australia said, all right, we've tried our best, but we can't kill the emus. And it didn't work. Never since then, Australia has been essentially engaged in conflict against its own landscape, which is full of all sorts of creatures who want to kill Australians and humans. Everything's poisonous. Everything can kill you. If it's not one of those two things, it's an invasive species which has killed all the natural wildlife and is completely ruining Australia's agriculture, like locusts or rabbits, or fire. I don't know. Essentially, it's a desolate wasteland.
Down that invasive species fire.
Yeah, just south of the Great Barrier Reef. That's essentially Australia in a nutshell. All right, am I done?
Still have 35 seconds.
Jesus Christ. That was a good ending point too, right? All right, I'm done. I'm gonna leave it at that. It's a desolate wasteland south of the Great Barrier Reef.
Okay, so like a lot of people in Australia are like descendants of prisoners, criminals.
Yeah, that is true.
Interesting. Okay.
The convicts, prisoners was kind of a poor way to put it, but yeah, they were convicts. So they would be sent to like labor camps essentially in Australia. A lot of them are Irish too, so I support Australia for that reason.
Yeah, as an Australian, I can verify that everything that was described is 110% true.
Right? I think that's what I think. I don't think I said any falsehoods.
Um,
My emu war might have been a little exaggerated, but I feel like that's part of the history of the emu war is to exaggerate it a little.
yeah.
All right. That's my history lesson.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Are we calling it a night at 9?
We still have to do book recommendations.
Oh, we gotta do book recommendations. I have one actually. Can I look at my phone? It's on my phone. I don't remember the title.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. You guys can give your recommendations in the meantime.
Okay, so I have a recommendation. It's called 3 Days of Happiness by Sugaru Miyake. I don't know.
Hmm.
How's that? So it's basically like when I was asking about like if you could sell your lifespan for money, like that's what the book is about. So it's about like
Is it
some
fiction?
guy who, I mean, yes, fiction. Like you can't sell your life.
I
Your
don't know.
life,
Maybe he was
unfortunately.
writing a philosophical thought experiment.
So yeah, it's basically about some kid who like when he was 10, he was like optimistic, life's gonna be or like life's gonna get better when I grow up. And then eventually he turns 20 and he's like, yeah, life's been pretty mediocre, haven't become rich and successful yet. And then he one day just walks into a shop that like buys lifespan. And like people have like different rankings where like people pay different amounts for like based on what they predict from your future, right?
Hmm.
And apparently he got like the lowest rating. So his life was worth 10,000 yen a year, which is like $100 a year, basically.
Mm.
That
So
sucks.
and, yeah, so that's like the lowest you can get. And he had like 30 years to live. So he's like, screw it, I'll just sell all of it. So then he sells 30 years. So he has like 3 months to live. Um, and then he has to figure out like what he wants to do in the his remaining 3 months. So yeah, that's what the story's about.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the title?
It's called 3 Days of Happiness. Yeah, I don't know why it's called like because he has 3 months to live. So maybe he makes another decision later on. I don't know. I haven't finished it yet.
3 Days of Happiness.
I'm So my recommendation is actually I wouldn't say similar. I would say completely the opposite, but in a similar
Mhm.
manner. It's called Sozu no Frieren, and it's about a adventuring party who do the whole thing, kill the demon king, right? But it focuses on their elf mage, who lives longer than everyone. So it focuses on her life after, because she's an elf, so she'll live forever, right? So it focuses on the concept of living forever and what that changes in a person and in their perspective on uh, everything. So it's yeah, it's pretty good.
It's
Like
a
halfway
book, you
through.
said?
No, it's a manga. So
Mm,
The manga.
yeah,
that sounds pretty good, actually.
yeah. So
So
yeah. What were you gonna ask, Danny?
so it deals a lot with like just wondering what life would be like if you like lived a long time, basically.
Um, yeah, well, it just follows around this elf, like doing all of her things, like just like living her life, right?
Hmm.
And it opens in like right when after they've killed the demon king, and she's like, hanging out with them, and they're all like, "Oh, this is so good, right? We've spent so long together." And then the majority of the story takes place like, so far at least, takes place like 30 years after that. And you kind of get to see how everyone in the world's 30 years after like one of the heroes' deaths, so probably like 50 or 70 years after that. So you get to kind of see, through her eyes, how the world has changed and how everything that is seen like is familiar to her is completely different for everyone else. It's like she has memories of all of these places and all of these people and all of these different towns and cities, and they don't really have a lot of memory of that. So it's interesting.
Pretty cool.
Yep. Yogurt, your turn.
I had a book to recommend and then I forgot about it. So what I will recommend instead is Francis Bacon's New Atlantis, which I recently finished and is apparently one of the first kind of it presents one of the first models of the modern research university. But the copy that I have is chiefly interesting because it's a reproduction of the original manuscript. So the English is in the English uses the spelling conventions of Elizabethan times, which makes for somewhat difficult reading, but is also a lot of fun.
You said it's about the model for the first university.
No, so New Atlantis kind of describes this isolated island nation of inhabited by like an advanced civilization, and it belongs to like the utopia genre. So it's
Oh,
like this discoverer that comes across these like people who are
You could say it's a
perfectly
lost world.
yeah. Actually, a lot of the books that I'm reading for my Utopia class
Yeah.
are Lost World
Yep.
books,
Yep. Yep.
which I
Yep.
thought was
Yep.
very funny because I
Yeah.
was like, I know things because Ian has told me things about them. Um, but it's unfinished, but the main part of the latter half of the book kind of describes this guy's vision for um, a research institution in the physical sciences. Yeah,
Francis Bacon was
Francis Bacon.
a
The
immense figure in science. Um,
mm,
considering the fact that
the
he
father of the scientific method.
yeah, considering the fact that he didn't really do any actual contributions to science except in method and like just inspiring people to do science. But yeah, he didn't really have any discoveries.
Yeah.
But he spent a lot of his life trying to.
Sometimes that's just how it goes.
All right. Well, this has been a very good episode of what's the show called? DIY.
DIY.
Um, I hope you guys have enjoyed.
yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening, everyone. And we will end there.